Hey up, it's that old Yorkshire geek. I hope this is working, and on YouTube I've got it on there and it says starting soon, but I think we're okay. Yes, hang on. Yes, it's cracking on now. Right, just get rid of that. Boom. Right, welcome to the show. We're live. And it's a sad day because all this stuff's kicking off in Ukraine, isn't it, with Russia and all that. But hopefully, you can escape into the world of geekdom, the old Yorkshire geek, because I've got some news tonight. As usual, it's Star Wars and Star Trek and other stuff, bit of Marvel and all that. So let's just crack on, shall we? And we'll pop up as news feed up here. There we go. And it's Obi-Wan. Let's just, there we go. First, Obi-Wan Kenobi merchandise appears to have leaked. Not literally, I don't think, but we never know. Leaked photos of upcoming Star Wars merchandise seem to offer a first look at tie-in products for Disney Plus's long-awaited Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And there's a picture. Oh, this is from cbr.com, and as usual, as I always say, the links are in the description box below, and don't forget to like and subscribe and share the videos that I've done already, and tell all your friends and all that jazz, and what else, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified, that's what it's for, of upcoming and whenever I do stuff, and drop a comment in the comments below or join the live chat if you can or if you want to. Right, where were we? Right, a photo of some upcoming Star Wars merchandise. I think I just heard the cat then, did I? Yes, I did. She's there. What do you want? Tell the cat have a minute, can I? Right. A photo of some upcoming Star Wars merchandise appears to offer fans a new look at toys related to Disney Plus's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hang on, I've just seen something. Let's just get rid of that. There we go. The photo posted to Reddit shows the box packaging for toy lightsabers of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader from Hasbro's Lightsaber Forge line. The merchandise originally appeared on Good Morning America on February 21st. And there's a picture. Our first look at Kenobi series merchandise, and it looks like it's for kids, doesn't it? It looks like it's for kids. Not exactly, collectible stuff, is it? But it's all for kids, I hear you say. No, it ain't. It's Star Wars. Obi-Wan Kenobi is set roughly 10 years after Revenge of the Sith and sees Ewan McGregor reprise the title role for the first time since 2005. Or was it 2005? Whatever's your poison. Official details regarding the plot have yet to be released, but Hayden Christensen is confirmed to return as Darth Vader, and rumours suggest the two characters will face each other again with their lightsabers drawn. Sorry, I've had some pop. Pardon me. Get it over with quick. I'm sure this will happen several more times during the course of this stream. Disney Plus released a promotional poster for the show that offers little in the way of plot details, but does feature McGregor in new robes, striding across a desert planet. I wonder which that one is, with a lightsaber in hand. But you never know, because they're nearly all desert planets lately, aren't they? They're not, I'm lying. McGregor spoke about returning to Star Wars after so many years and called it a great experience. He also believes that it will be satisfying for the fans who have waited to see what happened to Obi-Wan in the years between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. I'm not going to give away anything else about the storyline, only I think it's really going to satisfy Star Wars fans, he said. I think they crafted a very fine storyline. I think people are going to like it. Fans of the legendary Jedi can find out even more about Obi-Wan's life in an upcoming comic series from Marvel, written by Christopher Cantwell and illustrated by Ario Anindito. I hope I pronounced that properly. Star Wars Obi-Wan will focus on several previously unseen periods of Kenobi's life. It promises to feature events from his time as a youngling through to the aging Jedi Master, first played by Sir Alec Guinness, and will run for 5 issues. Obi-Wan Kenobi premieres on Disney Plus on May 25th, and Star Wars Obi-Wan will go on sale in May sometime. And that's it. That's it for that one. There we go. So some merchandise, lightsabers. We've seen them before, I should imagine, but it's nice to see new merchandise on the shelves or on the market, because it kind of dropped off a bit, didn't it? And now hopefully it'll come back. We'll see. Sticking with Disney, because it's Disney Star Wars, isn't it? Really. So sticking with Disney. Hey, come on. Don't be silly. Giving me a blank page. Hey, you don't want to see them. Yeah, there we go. Get up there. Is it going to come on this time this year? Hey, let's go back to that one, and then we'll go back to that one and see if it comes on this time. There's always something in there. There we go. The direct sort your website out. Disney Plus announces release date for Daredevil and more Marvel Netflix shows. And there they are. But no Iron Fist and no Punisher in that picture. Marvel series on Netflix have had a tumultuous ride from their early development, cancellation, removal, and finally a chance at a second wind. Prior to the creation of Disney Plus, the shows were initially seen as a way to expand the Marvel Cinematic Universe onto television, giving the likes of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, The Punisher, and more their very own television series. So, to say more, Iron Fist and Luke Cage. I mean, it's only two more people you've got to have. As the shows continued, though, a lack of acknowledgement from Marvel Studios films raised questions about their true connections to the MCU. There's a lot of links in this, isn't there? In the description, you can read it and follow the links at your leisure. In addition to the fact that the series were being produced instead by Marvel Television, while early offerings like Daredevil, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage received high praise, other lacklustre instalments like Iron Fist and disappointing follow-up seasons eventually led to the cancellation of all the shows. I don't think about that really. I think it was more Disney. By that time, they wanted more control over, the shows. So I think, I think that's what happened, and they wouldn't let Netflix, produce more. That's basically what I think, anyway. This left the Defenders characters and their respective shows in a state of limbo. Plus, it's Netflix. You know what Netflix is like. It's always cancelling stuff. Cancelling good stuff as well. Unbelievable. This left the Defenders characters and their respective shows in a state of limbo until a glimmer of hope came with the prospect of the characters' rights returning to Marvel Studios proper. Spider-Man No Way Home and Hawkeye's use of Daredevil characters continued to signal that the Netflix gang might soon be reincorporated somehow, which was only furthered by the announcement that all of the series would be leaving the streaming platform on March the 1st. I've got a tickly top lip here. What's up with me? Sorry, but again, it was unknown what the plan for the Netflix shows was after being removed, but a new announcement indicates where fans will be able to watch the series next. Marvel's Defenders moved to Disney Plus. And there's a picture. Still no Punisher or Iron Fist. Don't they like 'em? A press release from Disney Canada via Twitter user Shabazz the Movie Podcast officially confirmed the Disney Plus release date of Marvel's Netflix distributed shows on the streaming service after they leave Netflix on February 28th. The announcement revealed that Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Punisher and The Defenders will start streaming on Disney Plus Canada on March 16th, 2022. It's unknown if Disney Plus in the United States and other territories will begin streaming these series on this date or at a later time. There's no word yet on the release status of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was also set to be removed from Netflix soon. I don't even know we're on there. I don't think it's on Netflix in the UK. I don't think. But I don't know if it's on Disney Plus in the UK. It was an ABC series, wasn't it? I think. Was it ABC? And that's Disney, innit? How will Disney Plus promote Marvel's Netflix shows? This latest confirmation from Disney Plus Canada serves as a major step toward bringing Marvel's Defenders back to its rightful home. While it's not yet confirmed if it will arrive on Disney Plus US, the fact that the shows are coming in international territories is already a good sign, potentially hinting that an official announcement could be unveiled sooner rather than later. Marvel's Netflix shows have been the subject of debate among fans over the years due to their confusing connection to the wider MCU. The conversations amplified even further when two major characters from the Defenders universe made their way to Spider-Man No Way Home and Hawkeye. Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock helped sort the legal mess of Tom Holland's Peter Parker, while Vincent D'Onofrio made his presence felt as Kingpin against Jeremy Renner's Clint Barton and Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop. Didn't last very long against Kate, though, did he? Kingpin. Unbelievable. In a previous interview, D'Onofrio confirmed that Daredevil's Kingpin is the same as Hawkeye's Kingpin, with the actor even admitting that it's the same canon, but he completely understood the confusion. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, whatever, then teased the possibility of seeing more former Netflix heroes return to the MCU, cryptically saying whenever a character comes back into the Netflix sandbox, it becomes another storytelling tool. Where are you going? Given the mature content in both Marvel's Netflix shows, it's possible that Daredevil, Luke Cage and the rest will be slated to premiere on Hulu or Star, a content hub featuring movies and shows from Fox and other Disney-owned studios. Still, it's also likely that the Defenders-led projects could join the rest of the MCU slate, thus solidifying the show's place in the franchise's interconnected events. If that is the case, then fans will eventually find out where shows like Jessica Jones and the Defenders fit in the Infinity Saga. Doing this allows fans to completely understand how each Netflix show connects to one another, and it would hint at how major films such as Avengers Endgame affect the titular heroes. And that's it. So there you go. So hopefully they're coming to Disney Plus when they leave Netflix. Hopefully they're coming to Disney Plus soon. Either Disney Plus or Hulu. It'll be Disney Plus here in the UK and around the world, except for the United States, where it'll be Hulu. So there we go. But will they be edited down? Because they were quite brutal, some of them, weren't they? Particularly, I think Daredevil Season 1 and The Punisher. They were quite brutal. And the fella got shot in the face, didn't he, in Punisher? And so will it be edited a bit? But if it's on Star, on Disney Plus, it shouldn't be, because they've got some adult material on there. They've got like horror films and stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. They should bring them out. I mean, maybe they do. Are they out on DVD or Blu-ray? I don't know. They should do it. Right, what's next? What shall we do next? I'll do this one next. I'll move it up. I was going to do another one, but we'll do Tom Holland instead. That's what all the ladies say. We'll do Tom Holland. Tom Holland reveals one of the other Spider-Men wore a fake butt on No Way Home set. You can figure that out for yourselves. Spider-Man No Way Home star Tom Holland has revealed that one of the other Spider-Men wore a fake butt on set. Speaking on Late Night with Seth Meyers, Holland shared that one Spidey's posterior wasn't 100% authentic, but he wouldn't reveal whether it was Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield. I bet it was Tobey. Because is Tobey a vegetarian? I'm sure I've read somebody as vegetarian or vegan or something. So he'll have a skinny ass, won't he? He will. I bet it was him. Holland told Myers, I'll give you a spoiler, and I'm not going to tell you who, but one of us has a fake ass in their suit. You can figure that for yourselves. Holland went on to reveal that he once caught himself admiring the fake butt on set before remembering that it wasn't real. I remember being on set like, wow, well, hang on a minute, nah, that's not real, Holland added. Yeah, very good, how strange. Don't tell Zendaya you're looking at other men's bottoms. Holland also spoke out about how much he enjoyed working with the Spider-Man actors who came before him, calling it the most incredible experience of my career. You know, playing Spider-Man, while being a wonderful experience and, completely life-changing, it also can be quite alienating, Holland said. When you're 19 and someone gives you this opportunity and your life changes, it's quite hard to figure out how to navigate. Sorry, my stomach just went doolally then. So to almost have two older brothers that had been through it before me, to be able to share that experience with them was amazing. I've been fine all day, sort of. And then just when I start broadcasting, start streaming, my stomach starts making noises. Again. And there's Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield with other people. Who's that? I don't know, but he's got a hairdo. I'm sure somebody knows who it is from behind. I don't know. The three actors had such a great time on set that they created a group chat, with Holland recently revealing the sweet way the actors sign off. Every now and then someone will blow it up, and then we'll chat for an hour or two, and then it always ends with, "Love you guys," and we'll be off. Holland revealed. And then a couple of weeks later, they'll text back after we've broken yet another record, and it's like, "Can you believe this is happening?" Spider-Man Far From Home is available now on DVD, Blu-ray and digital download. Spider-Man No Way Home is out now in UK and US cinemas. I think it's coming out on DVD and Blu-ray in April, and I think it's coming out on streaming, I think middle of March. I can't remember the exact date. Sorry. Just have a little drink of pop. So I'll burp again and my stomach will make more noises. But what the heck. Right. Next up. Oh, this one worked. Nose is tickling. Gonna have an argument. I said that every time. Why Steven Spielberg and George Lucas traded their Star Wars and Close Encounters profits. A long time ago, in a galaxy before Star Wars, creator George Lucas was worried. He was in the middle of making A New Hope. Except it was just Star Wars back then, wasn't it? An original space adventure he created after he was unable to get the rights to Flash Gordon. It was a big risk for the filmmaker. Despite some success with his earlier film American Graffiti, he hadn't yet established himself, and all but one studio turned Star Wars down. 20th Century Fox eventually took a gamble on his ambitious sci-fi epic at the request of producer Alan Ladd Jr. A lot was riding on it, but the production was soon plagued with location difficulties, scripting problems, and a studio that was eager to shut down production. I am so unprofessional. All in all, Star Wars was not going well. I've got a bad feeling about this. I've heard that somewhere before. I wonder where. And there's Han. As we all know, Star Wars would go on to become a huge hit, kick-starting one of the biggest film franchises of all time. But back then, nobody saw it coming. Even Lucas himself thought Star Wars was going to be a flop. "I didn't think the film was going to be successful," he said at a Q&A in 2015. "I showed it to all of my friends early on, but it was mostly stock footage of old war movies and all kinds of stuff. They saw it and said, 'Poor George, what were you thinking?' Thankfully, not everyone agreed, but the only person who really thought Star Wars was going to be a huge hit was his close friend Steven Spielberg. Steven had jumped up and said, 'This is going to be the biggest movie of all time.' Everybody in the room looked up at Steven and said, 'Poor Steven.'" Spielberg was right, of course, and he was ready to put his money where his mouth is. And there's Sir Alec. Don't know what they got that there for. At the same time Lucas was filming Star Wars, Spielberg was shooting his own sci-fi epic. Jaws had made the young director a household name in 1975, and Spielberg enjoyed all the success that came with it. He followed it up with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and the studio was happy to throw money at him. Lucas wasn't so fortunate. George came back from Star Wars a nervous wreck, he told TCM. He didn't feel Star Wars came up to the vision he initially had. He felt he had just made this little kids' movie. During a break from filming Star Wars, Lucas visited his pal's set, and it didn't help. He said, "Oh my God, your movie is going to be so much more successful than Star Wars. This is going to be the biggest hit of all time. I can't believe this set. I can't believe what you're getting, and oh my goodness." I wouldn't be saying it, I'd be saying it like George Lucas. I'd be, "Oh, I can't believe you couldn't, oh my goodness. Faster and more intense." But not with a Yorkshire accent. The more experienced director Spielberg had managed to wrestle a $19.4 million budget from Columbia Pictures, while Star Wars eventually ended up costing around $11 million. 20th Century Fox didn't even want to spend that much. Despite Spielberg's support, Lucas was more convinced than ever that Star Wars was going to lose money, but then a simple bet changed everything. During his visit to the Close Encounters set, he made Spielberg an offer. He said, "All right, I'll tell you what. I'll trade some points with you. You want to trade some points? I'll give you 2.5% of Star Wars if you give me 2.5% of Close Encounters." So I said, "Sure, I'll gamble with that. Great." Lucas had just pulled off the bargain of a lifetime. Convinced that Close Encounters was going to be a huge hit, he returned to the Star Wars set knowing that at least this movie wasn't going to sink him. But 20th Century Fox still wasn't convinced. "The studio, the board at Fox, didn't have any faith in it," explained Lucas, "even when we showed it at an American Graffiti screening and everybody loved it." Of course, all that was about to change. Star Wars A New Hope was released on May 25th, 1977, but George Lucas wasn't watching the box office. Instead, he was preparing to head off to a beach in Hawaii with his pal Stephen. "I don't read the reviews," he explained. "I just go lay on a beach." Clearly, Lucas was bracing himself for failure. He was still adamant that Star Wars was going to be a flop. But before he could leave on vacation, 20th Century Fox head Alan Ladd Jr. called him with some good news. "It's a fantastic hit," he told Lucas. "Every single paper. There are lines around the block. You can't believe this." And Lucas didn't believe it, at least not at first. "Laddie, calm down," said Lucas. "It's a science fiction film. Science fiction films get a good old group of sci-fi fans. They'll go to anything the first week. Wait for a couple of weeks and you'll see what it's really going to do." Eventually, the good news sank in, but only once Lucas had seen a TV news bulletin about the overnight phenomenon that Star Wars had become. He called and said, "George, turn on the news." I said, "What?" He said, "Turn on CBS, turn on the news. Walter Cronkite, you got to see it." I turned on the news and they had this huge story on the sensation of Star Wars and lines around the block. Everybody was going berserk about it. That was the first time I understood that it was a big hit. That turned out to be a bit of an understatement. Must have a scratch of my lug oil. Has it? Outside of my head. Star Wars eventually grossed a staggering $775.4 million, according to Box Office Mojo, reportedly earning Spielberg a whopping $40 million. Lucas, on the other hand, earned just $13 million from Close Encounters. And Spielberg couldn't have been happier. Both of our movies were wildly profitable. Close Encounters made so much money it rescued Columbia from bankruptcy. The most money I had ever made on a film before was from Close Encounters, but Close Encounters was just a meagre success. Star Wars was a phenomenon. And of course, I was an acting beneficiary of a couple of net points on that movie, which I'm still seeing money on today. Remarkably, Lucas made good on his bet and the two have remained firm friends despite this little imbalance in the force. "I think I came out on top of that bet," said Spielberg. "I did a lot better than George." Of course, compared to the $4 billion Lucas made from the sale of Lucasfilm to Disney, $40 million seems like a drop in the ocean. I bet Spielberg's worth more than $4 billion. I bet he is. I bet he is a lot more than that. So there you go. They had a little bet and Spielberg came out on top. Like he probably always does. Right, next up. Bit of Star Trek, sort of news, but not really. Fan theory, should this late Star Trek star voice all starships? Yes. And there she is, Majel Barrett Roddenberry. the lovely Majel Barrett Roddenberry. Today, February 23rd, 2022, would have been the 90th birthday of Majel Barrett Roddenberry. Was it Majel? I would say Majel. While she certainly is remembered for being Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry's wife, she was important to the franchise in her own right. Known as the First Lady of Star Trek, Majel was born in 1932 and died in 2008. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. I've always said it Majel. It might be Majel. I don't know. So, if you're getting angry with me mispronouncing it, I am sorry. But I'll keep saying Majel. For over 30 of her 72 years, she impacted the stories, the look and the sound of Star Trek. Barrett Roddenberry appeared in the first version of Star Trek The Cage. In that first pilot, which NBC famously rejected for being too cerebral, Barrett Roddenberry played Captain Pike's first officer, who was simply referred to as Number One. That was a reference to her rank aboard the Enterprise. And I think The Cage was the best science fiction ever made in the 1960s. That's just my personal opinion. I think it was better than 2001, better than Planet of the Apes, better than all the other TV, better than Lost in Space and all them. Better. I do. I think it was excellent, and it was better than... It's my favourite episode of the original series. It was the very first one. It was rejected, and I think it was the best. So, anyway, Number One was the first thing Gene wrote. Barrett Roddenberry told authors Ben Robinson and Ian Spelling in the book Star Trek: The Original Series a celebration. He wrote that then he knew he would have a captain. Though Number One appeared just once in Trek, she has been rebooted a bit. The character is now played by Rebecca Romaine, who will star next to Anson Mount, Pike and Ethan Peck, Spock, on the new series Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Just so they don't start singing again. On May 5th, 2022. Oh, God. And there's a tweet saying, "Happy birthday to the Queen of Trek." I won't press play because it'll probably all go wrong. Hey, when Star Trek returned, this time with William Shatner as Captain James T. Kirk, Barrett Roddenberry returned as well, though not as the ship's first officer. She worked in the sick bay beneath Dr. McCoy, DeForest Kelly. Barrett Roddenberry was a recurring character, Nurse Chapel, Christine Chapel. Throughout the series, she also appeared on the animated series as Chapel. She returned to the role in the motion picture, except Chapel had been to medical school and was Dr. Chapel. When the Next Generation hit airwaves in the late 1980s, Barrett Roddenberry was there as Luoxana Troi, the overbearing and hilarious mother of Counsellor Deanna Troi, Marina Sirtis. Luoxana appeared in multiple episodes of TNG, often as comic relief. She was interested in a romantic relationship with Captain Picard, Patrick Stewart, and later Odo, Rennie Auberginoise. The late Rennie Auberginoise. On Deep Space Nine, neither of these gentlemen reciprocated. One of the most remarkable things she did for Star Trek was lend her voice. Barrett Roddenberry was the computer for a generation of fans whenever any character asked for information aboard a starship. This included The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine and Voyager. She also lent her voice to 5 Trek feature films as the computer. I won't read that because it says it here. Right. Recently, someone posted a fascinating idea on a Star Trek fan group on Facebook. What if the producers of the show and upcoming films found a way to incorporate Barrett Roddenberry's voice back into the computer? Thanks to the official Roddenberry Twitter account, we know that her voice was recorded phonetically. In 2016, they were working to get her voice for things such as Siri, and possibly as the computer for Star Trek Discovery. Rod Roddenberry, oh God, that's hard to say, isn't it? Was unable to get his mum's voice onto Discovery. That honour went to actress Annabelle Wallis. It's not an honour, is it, to be on that Discovery? Sorry, I don't like it. Thanks to a recent episode of the Star Wars show, the Book of Boba Fett fans know now that this is actually possible. Technicians took snippets of Mark Hamill's voice from the past Star Wars movies, audiobooks and other sources to create a neural network you feed information into and it learns, according to Game Rant. Star Wars fans complained, saying that Luke Skywalker's voice sounded weird or stilted. It's not as bad as mine. And mine's real, as Gizmodo reported. But stilted is precisely how a computer voice sounds. This technique will work perfectly should Alex Kurtzman and the other minds at Paramount decide to use Barrett Roddenberry as the computer's voice once more. As for now, Star Trek has moved forward with living actors to portray the computer's voice. Actress Bonnie Gordon is the voice of the Protostar in Star Trek Prodigy. And that's that. So, yes, they should do that. Get her back as the computer. Because she was the voice of the Star Trek computers for a generation. And it'd be lovely. Right. List time. Let's just have a check, make sure stuff's happening. Are we still all working? We are. We're still going. We're still going. Right, 10 better breast. Freudian slip. 10 best practical effects in sci-fi movies. Ranked. There's something special about the pure tactile pleasures of seeing real slime, real prosthetics, and other special effects. There's E.T., Robocop, and the Invisible Man. With the increasing reliance on digital technology to create special effects, practical effects have become supplemental, serving as a model to be built upon by various digital designers. There's something lost from the pure tactile pleasures of seeing real slime, real prosthetics, and other special effects. You just said that up there. If necessity is the mother of invention, the computer-generated imagery that makes up most of what we see nowadays seems to lose track of its core aesthetic aims. Things sure do look cool sometimes, but there is something to be said about the films of yesteryear, or DIY and lower budget filmmaking where necessity did breed invention. Consider the budgetary constraints of Jaws 1975, and how a very specific oft-copied brand of terror was born when they knew they couldn't show too much of the shark. I don't think that wasn't budget constraints, though. That was, the shark just never worked. Anyway, number 10, The Bandaged Disguise in The Invisible Man, 1933. Based on a novel by H.G. Wells, James Whale's The Invisible Man, 1933, is a timeless tale of hubris gone amok. After turning himself invisible, Dr. Jack Griffin, Claude Rains, races against time to turn himself back before a side effect of the transformation causes him to do some devious things. Most of the film gets away with fun gimmicks like a bicycle riding itself, and floating objects. But the most exciting moments are when the Invisible Man unwraps the bandages that shroud his face. Piece by piece, the cloth is stripped away to reveal an invisible framework. Even today, it's stunning to see something so audacious from nearly 100 years ago. Yeah, it did look good for time. It was a bit of a mixture, wasn't it? There was a bit of a, it was just bandages on top of somebody's head or whatever, But I think there was also a bit of crack camera trickery, wasn't there? Because it were unpeeling it, but then you could see where the bandage should be. You could see, the rest of the room. So, like chroma keying. I don't know if they had chroma keying in 1933, but it's that sort of thing. As though we had a green screen head. Anyway, but yeah, 1933, it were cool. Right, number 9. The slimy amoeboid entity in The Blob, 1988. The remake of The Blob from 1988 sees a small town being attacked by a giant single-celled entity, aptly referred to as a blob. I don't think it was single-celled, though, was it? Created initially as a biological weapon, it was launched into space and proper cover-ups were made. Good riddance. Back with a vengeance, or something akin to vengeance, the blob seeks only to feed off of human flesh and expand ad infinitum. What could seem like a giant piece of bubblegum pushing people around is done well here, the effects team showing how the blob absorbs and disintegrates whomever it comes into contact with. Pardon me. The blob's gooey and messy and a good time. Yeah, we're good with the Blob remake. One of the better remakes. and some nice gory effects, which is what we want in a horror film. Right, number 8, the clunky body horror of RoboCop 1987. RoboCop 1987 is a down and gritty sci-fi film that starts with the obscenely violent execution of its main character, Alex Murphy, Peter Weller, who was also in Star Trek twice, he was in Enterprise, and he was in Star Trek Into Darkness. And then shows us his resurrection as a single-minded, robotically enhanced law enforcer. The best moments are when we can see Murphy's face stretched at the edges and stapled back into the robotic body that he's a prisoner of. I didn't like it. I preferred it when he had his helmet on. I did like it when his helmet got broken in that bit and you could see his real eye. That was good. But when he took his helmet off, I thought, it didn't look as good for me. But it was Rob Bottin that did it, and Rob Bottin's a genius. But what do I know? Until he overrides his circuitry, there's little humanity to the character, but Murphy's every gesture, awkward and boxy, is what makes RoboCop such a fantastic experience. Well, yeah. I think he had training, didn't he, from like a mime artist and stuff. So, yeah. Number 7, Otherworldly Horrors in From Beyond 1986. There it is. The scientists at the centre of From Beyond 1986 use a device called the Resonator to open up previously inaccessible recesses of the pineal gland. In doing so, they gain access to a plane of unspeakable horror and perverse pleasures. One of the scientists, who dies during the initial experiments, ends up coming back in a transformed state, bathed in pink light, his flesh contorted and slimy. The effects in this film are gross and funny and stand up to the test of time. From Beyond renders H.P. Lovecraft's abstract descriptions of different worlds in a way that is rubbery wet and full of strange sounds. But yeah, there were good puppets and stuff. I think it were a Charles Band production. So, and it was the middle of the 80s, so it was in the middle of the that animatronic boom on it. So, but yeah, they were good, and it had Jeffrey Combs in it and other people. Number 6, The Charming Ugliness of E.T. the Extraterrestrial, 1982. I'm going to be controversial here. I'd never liked E.T. The look of it. I like the film. The film's great, but I mean the E.T. puppet. But anyway, I'll read this first. It is a testament to the power of the Spielberg touch that such an ugly creature could win over the hearts and minds of the viewing audience. E.T. the Extraterrestrial, 1982, is simply put a wonderful film. A nice little what? A nice little kid named Elliot finds a freakish imp hiding in his trash and then goes on the adventure of a lifetime. He might have eat trash. He was in some shed or something or the other. Through whatever alien process, Elliot and E.T. form a symbiotic relationship, and the two, along with a gang of latchkey kids, try to bring the alien back to his ship. The whole movie, from E.T.'s little sausage fingers picking up Reese's Pieces to the burnt-in-your-brain image of the pallid E.T. lying motionless in a river, is a tour de force of effects done right. I didn't like the effects, to be honest. I liked it showed him picking up stuff with his hands, but that was probably just somebody's hand in a with like extensions put on, But I'm not a fan of Carlo Rambaldi. I know he did E.T. and I know he did Close Encounters, and I didn't like the aliens in that either. And I think he did some work in Alien as well, didn't he? I think. But I didn't like his work. I found it looked plasticine-y. But I'm not an expert. What do I know? But it's just my opinion. But I did like E.T. Went to see it with my mate. I mean, I wanted to go see Poltergeist, but he wanted to see E.T. We went to see E.T., and then when it shows, pallid E.T. lying motionless in the river, my mate just burst out laughing and said, "He looks like he's been pickled." Cheers, Andy. Yeah, I'm sat like, E.T. And he's laughing. But I wanted to see Poltergeist, and never got to see it until it came out on video back in the day. Right, number 5, The Small Beginnings of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978. The 1978 remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers starts with a fantastic macro photography sequence of alien cells swimming around on their home planet that then travel through space to our dear planet Earth. The cells then descend to the planet's surface within range droplets and spread their tendrils across the faces of the leaves until they become beautiful blooming pods. There's a picture of it. It did actually look quite good, did that, I must admit. That is how their plan begins, a slow sprawl, then total control. The film isn't a pyrotechnic display of freaky creature shocks, but is all the more ominous the feeling that it induces. That those you are closest with may not be what they seem. It's a bold introduction to small creatures with large ambitions. That's my impression of Donald Sutherland. Number 4, the Stargate sequence in 2001, A Space Odyssey, 1968. The Stargate sequence in 2001, A Space Odyssey is a trip. The scene finds David Bowman on the last leg of his mission, suddenly flung across time and space through an aurally hallucinatory kaleidoscopic journey through practical effects wizardry. The sequence is remarkable, eluding, I presume that means, easy explanations. It is an instance in which the abstract imagery matches the pure controlled chaos of the unknown. Additionally, this is a long scene where parallel tracks of light jettison toward the camera and droplets of strange liquids spread like newborn celestial bodies. Oft copied, though never equalled, 2001 is an all-time genre high, perhaps in more than one sense. Yeah, we're all like normal, like hand animated, wasn't it? And the stuff with like lights in behind screens and stuff and all that. And some of it were just like photography of a landscape, but you know, the colours reversed and stuff like that. But yeah, it was alright. I preferred the practical effects of the spaceships, you know. Since we're talking about practical effects, they were good. And the apes at the beginning, which that year, I think the Oscar for best, I think they got a special Oscar. I don't think they had an Oscar for best makeup effects and stuff, did they, back then? But they got a special Oscar, I think, for all the ape makeup in Planet of the Apes. But I think the apes in 2001 were miles better than the apes in Planet of the Apes. But the Academy disagreed. Right, number 3, Decomposition in The Fly, 1986. When Seth Brundle invents a teleportation device, he doesn't suspect that a stowaway fly will be his undoing. The computer, mixing up the DNA of Seth and the fly, ends up fusing the two, marking the beginning of a slow, disgusting transformation. What's great about The Fly, 1986, is that it walks us through every aspect of Seth's experience, from superhuman agility and strength, the odd sugar craving, to the realisation that he is becoming much more fly than human. The best moments are when he accepts matter-of-factly that aspects of his former self are no longer important to the fly creature that he is becoming. Seth, seeing a loose fingernail, plucks it away from his flesh like it's a foreign object. As harrowing as it may be, Seth's calmness in the face of scientific exploration remains a fascinating thing to watch. Yeah, it's great, yeah. And his scene where he talks about insect politics and is he a man that dreamed of becoming a fly who dreamed of becoming a man, but now the fly is awake. You know, that's an amazing bit of dialogue, which, you know, I've just butchered. Anyway, yeah, great film is The Fly. And the original is ace as well, with Vincent Price and David Hedison. I think it was Al Hedison in that, but he changed his name to David for some reason. The Chestburster in Alien, 1979. In space, no one can hear you scream. And there's John Hurt about to be chest-bursted. Do taglines get any better than that? Alien 1979 was a perfect marriage of cast, crew and design team, where everything worked in perfect harmony in service of making a fantastic film. To single out any one detail immediately brings to mind another aspect of the film that warrants just as much praise, be it the never-ending side view of the Nostromo. Just heard Princess behind me then. You up to something? You up to something back there? The cross-hatched eggs beckoning a peek inside, Ash, the milk-filled robot, or even the sleek, silvery black alien itself designed by H.R. Giger. The perfect killing machine. So, yeah, they were good effects. As I think Carlo Rambaldi did some things in it, I can't remember which. But Giger designed the alien itself, didn't he? And what's she up to? Are you being naughty? Gonna get you. She's being naughty, princess. Hey, she's being naughty. Because I'm not paying attention to her, you see. I'm talking to you a lot. Yeah, but I think I forgot his name now. What they call him? He did some of the effects on like Warlords of Atlantis. I can't remember his name now. He did some of the effects like the chest burster and I think the face hugger. What were he called? What were they called? Me and names. It'll come to me. It wasn't Roger Christian, because that doesn't sound right. I think he did something else. Roger Christian is a person, but I think he did something else. Anyway, number 1, The Blood Test in The Thing, 1982. And there's Kurt Russell with his flamethrower. John Carpenter's The Thing, 1982, is a classic in every sense of the word. The film sees Carpenter once again turning to Howard Hawks for inspiration, while the original is still a fine movie. It is the Carpenter version that takes the core conceit of men trapped in an Antarctic base, both hope and trust dwindling rapidly, and pits them against a shape-shifting alien. The best scene is when a blood test to smoke out the imposters leads to a flamethrower misfire, men being tied to the thing itself, and a bloody effects-laden attack sequence. The Thing looks just as good today as it did back in 1982. I don't think that was the best thing. I think it was the when I tell you, I can't remember names either. Norris had his heart attack, or they thought he had a heart attack, and then they were using the paddles, and then all hell broke loose, didn't it? And his head came off and all that. That's the best practical monster effects thing ever. 'Cause that head, it's amazing. It's amazing. But that's it. There we go. Yeah, I'm sure we can think of some others. I mean, I don't know why that's in, to be honest. There's other practical effects that are really good, that are really, really good. I mean, what about the Rancor in Return of the Jedi? That was a practical effect. That wasn't CG, was it? No, it was a puppet. Meant to look big, and that looked really good. And that's just the top of my head. And as I said, Warlords of Atlantis, that had some good practical effects in. I mean, they might look a bit hokey nowadays, but, you know, they were good puppets and models at the time. Anyway, I think we've got another list here. Upcoming sci-fi movies you won't want to miss. Science fiction, it's a genre that boggles the mind, broadens the imagination and pays tribute to the awe-inspiring breadth of human innovation, whether it's high-minded speculative fiction or explosive superhero blockbusters. Sci-fi has something for everyone, and the upcoming lineup of sci-fi films shows the full range of the genre, with everything from bizarre indie sci-fi flicks to alien invasion movies, to several highly anticipated sequels to sci-fi tentpoles that take place on distant planets with very unique climates. Are we talking about Dune or Avatar? Who knows? Let's look. There's a lot to look forward to in sci-fi cinema this year and the next. Here are the sci-fi movies that you absolutely do not want to miss in 2022 and 2023. Hey, we're still going. Yeah, we're still going. We're still plodding along. Right, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Never heard of it, but it's got Michelle Yeoh in it. Is it Michelle Yeoh? Yeah. I don't know if this is from that. Maybe it is. I don't know, but she's got an eye there. Is that a googly eye? I hope not, because that'll just look silly. Release date March 25th, 2022. Oh, it's not far away. The filmmaking team, Daniels, made up of Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, I don't know, are known for their out-of-this-world weirdness. Their featured directorial debut, Swiss Army Man, which I've never seen, is about the unlikely friendship between a suicidal man and a farting corpse. Played, I believe, by Daniel Radcliffe. And their upcoming film, Everything Everywhere All at Once, looks just as beautifully bizarre. Everything Everywhere All at Once stars Michelle Yeoh, a Chinese-American woman who is trying to finish her taxes but ends up going on a multiverse-hopping adventure. The movie looks like a visual treat, with enough strange, stunning moments in the trailer to catch anyone's attention. Multiverses are popular right now, with Sony, Marvel and DC all taking swings at the trope, so it'll be fun to see a completely different take. Yeoh is an action movie superstar with loads of charisma, so Everything Everywhere All at Once should be a blast of butt-kicking joy. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? Is that coming to pictures? Or is it like on Netflix or whatever? I don't know. It doesn't say, does it? Hey. 65, but not with Kylo Ren. Release date April 14th, 2023. Oh, that's next year. Filmmakers Scott Beck and Brian Woods made quite a splash with their script for 2018's A Quiet Place. I didn't like it. Sorry, I didn't like A Quiet Place. It got on my nerves. Giving rise to a highly successful sci-fi horror franchise in the process. There's 2 films, not exactly a franchise, is it? The duo have since reunited for an intriguing new project titled 65. The original sci-fi thriller, the movie stars Adam Driver as an astronaut who lands on a mysterious new planet, only to discover he's not as alone as he thought. Beck and Woods both wrote and directed the film, making it their 3rd directorial effort after the found footage thriller Nightlight. I've not heard of that, and I like found footage films. I shall have to look into that. And the well-received slasher movie Haunt, which I've not seen either. With legendary Evil Dead filmmaker Sam Raimi serving as a producer and iconic Tim Burton movie composer Danny Elfman handling the score, Sci-Fi is shaping up to be 65. Sorry, where did I get Sci-Fi from? 65 is shaping up to be another captivatingly tense sci-fi outing from Beck and Woods. Bobo, this looks animated, doesn't it? Release date April 28th, 2022 on Netflix. What is sci-fi if not a place to break the rules of nature? Netflix's Bubble is taking that to the next level by completely destroying the laws of gravity. The film centres around an alternate version of Tokyo, years after bubbles mysteriously descend from the sky and break the laws of gravity within the city. Completely cut off from the rest of the world, the city becomes a playground for a group of young people without families who've mastered the art of leaping from bubbles to buildings. After nearly falling to his death, one such teen named Hibiki is rescued by a mysterious girl, which kickstarts an epic love story. Screenwriter Gen Urobuchi came up with this as a play on the typical mermaid narrative. Instead of a girl ending up as bubbles, Instead of a girl ending up as bubbles after falling in love, why not have a bubble fall in love and transform into a girl? Whatever. I bet it lost something in translation there. If this enchanting presence isn't enough to win you over, the team of anime all-stars working behind the scenes will certainly do the trick. Bubble comes from Tetsuro Araki, the director behind the hugely popular Attack on Titan. Screenwriter Urobuchi is known for work on Puella Magi Madoga Magica. Character design is done by Death Note alum Takeshi Obata, and the music comes from Hiroyuki Sawano of Promare. Or Promare, I don't know. I'm not really into anime, I'm sorry. I like some of it, as I've said before. There's some I do like. You know, Ghost in the Shell, Armitage 3, I've said before. Ninja Scroll, I like that one. But as a rule, it doesn't float my boat. I'm sorry. I've tried watching Attack on Titan, and I just found it baffling. So there. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I've never heard of it. I'm lying. Release date May the 6th, 2022. Brace yourselves, folks. The MCU's first big movie of the year is nearly here. Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is set to explore the now cracked open multiverse further. Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, will be seen contending with various universes and creatures, travelling back and forth in time to find solutions, while battling the Cyclopean squid villain known as the Shumagorath and a corrupted, time-altered version of himself. He will have little help from the Scarlet Witch, who will be using the Darkhold to make sense of their new reality. Raimi, who helmed the original Spider-Man trilogy, appears to lean into his horror background for the MCU film and weaves the narrative with themes of science fiction and high fantasy. Well, they got a horror director for the first Doctor Strange film, didn't they? With whoever directed the first Doctor Strange film. They pop in my head and then they go. Scott Derrickson, yes. Scott Derrickson. He was a horror director and he did the first Doctor Strange film, which were alright. The trailer promises fans a return to the trippy mirror dimension, teases the cartoon dimension, and sees its titular character travel to many alternate realities. If you thought Doctor Strange's distinctive psychedelic visual effects set it apart from any other film in the MCU, Multiverse of Madness is going to be a treat for the eyes. Where are you going? Elizabeth Olsen returns as Wanda Maximoff. I like Elizabeth Olsen. Benedict Wong, Rachel McAdams and Chiwetel Ejiofor reprise their past roles, and the film introduces Xochitl Gomez, I don't know how you pronounce that, as America Chavez. There we go. So we'll see. Right, Shin Ultraman. And there he is. Episode. Release date May 13th, 2022. In Japanese, the word Shin can translate to heart or God or true. When Hideaki Anno and Shinji Higuchi made Shin Godzilla in 2016, it was perhaps a response to America's recent attempt to make their own version of Godzilla, a character who is, to remind you, a Japanese citizen and a tourism ambassador for the Japanese government. They were alright with Shin Godzilla, but I did like the 2014 Godzilla as well, by Rogue One director. Him. Anno and Higuchi's version of Godzilla was then touted as the true version. To be honest, I preferred the American one. Shin Godzilla were alright, but it wasn't amazing. With the upcoming Shin Ultraman, Anno and Higuchi have re-teamed to give the same clarion of verisimilitude to everyone's favourite ultra-evolved, superpowered robot-like space alien being that ever hailed from 1960s Japanese tokusatsu television. There we go. I'm sure it'll look goofy to Western eyes, but people who like Japanese stuff, I'll love it. And the Japanese will love it because it's Japanese. The princess is still doing things back there. What you up to? Cheeky monkey. She's a cheeky monkey. Right, Jurassic World Dominion. Release date June 10th, 2022. And there's a T-Rex. Up to no good, no doubt. It's at a drive-in theatre bit, looks, isn't it? Bursting through the screen, it's all melted, look, it's showing the film's melted and the T-Rex has come out. Jurassic World Dominion is set to round out the current Jurassic trilogy in grand fashion, with dinosaurs now out in the real world living amongst humans, taking place 4 years after the events of Fallen Kingdom, which I quite liked, I must admit. People knock it and say it were crap, but I quite enjoyed Fallen Kingdom. We're going to see what full-blown... I know the bits in it didn't make sense, but I still enjoyed it. We're going to see what full-blown chaos really looks like. Colin Trevorrow, Jurassic World, is returning to the director's chair, with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard reprising their roles as Owen Grady and Claire Dearing, respectively. Most importantly, Sam Neill, Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum are reuniting as Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler and Ian Malcolm for the first time since the original movie. That alone is worth the price of admission. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be good. I've liked all of them. I like Jurassic World. I like Jurassic World. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So I'm sure I'll like this one. Lightyear. Release date June 17th, 2022. I saw a trailer for it and it didn't blow me away. I thought, what's the point of this? But anyway, Pixar may not be making Toy Story 5, but they are finding a creative way to continue with the franchise that started it all. Chris Evans is set to star in Lightyear, a movie that will show us the actual space hero Buzz Lightyear in action. Not the toy, but the man behind the toy. Directed by Angus MacLane, Finding Dory. This looks to be a true blue action-adventure flick with Pixar's signature creative twist. In a world absolutely overflowing with sequels, and reboots, this looks to be one of the more unique ones coming down the pipeline. Also, there's a talking robot cat named Socks in it. It can't be unique, can it? If it's based on a current an existing franchise. I don't know. Maybe I just couldn't get my head around it. Maybe it'll be really good, but the trailer did nothing for me. Thor Love and Thunder, July 8th, 2022. Thor Love and Thunder, directed by the brilliant Taika Waititi. He's good, but he's not brilliant. Comes out on July 8th, 2022. It stars Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, and Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. But apparently it's going to be Natalie Portman as the mighty Thor, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, and Tessa Thompson as King Valkyrie. Though we don't have a ton of details yet, we do know that Jane will become the mighty Thor. Yeah. She'll have her own set of powers, not just a copy of OG Thor's. She's going to have Mjolnir, isn't she, that's been reforged. It's got all cracks where it will like been like remade. Spoilers. Not only that, but Valkyrie, the ruler of New Asgard, and the MCU's first openly LGBTQIA, etc. character, is likely to get a love story of her own. Love is in that what they call the king. She's still a woman. What's up with being a queen? Queens have been just as powerful as kings. We've got a queen of this country. We had Queen Victoria, who's as powerful as they could be at the time. And queens of Egypt, Queen Cleopatra ruled. Stop turning women into men. Love isn't men into women. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. Love is in the title after all. For extra fun, we're getting Guardians of the Galaxy characters including Star-Lord Chris Pratt, who still has a bit of a rivalry going with Thor. Lady Sif, Jamie Alexander, who got short shrift in the earlier films, will return, badass that she is. Well, because it was like a hologram thing, wasn't it? I don't know. But she kept kicking Loki in his nuts, didn't she? The only thing that could make this any better is a cameo from Beta Ray Bill. Hey, one can dream. Everybody goes, who's Beta Ray Bill? I don't know. Apparently he's famous. In the comics world. Right. Nope. I'm looking forward to this. I like the trailer for it. Even though Universal copyright struck when I did a review of it. Because they don't understand, the fair use rules. With the Runaways, how long have we got to go? There's a lot to go here. Because I'm not going on forever. Oh, there's too many, isn't there? I'm going to be here forever. And my cat and my lad need seeing to. So maybe we'll do some more tomorrow, and I'll move on to the last story. So we'll leave it at nope, and we'll carry on this another time. Right, so we'll go to the last story, because I've waffled on enough. The last story is a science one. It's Star Wars planet is observed by a small telescope. Smallish. If you recognise the name of the planet Tatooine, then like many of us, you are also a fan of the multimedia franchise Star Wars by George Lucas. And maybe you already know that we have a real version of it, the Exoplanet Kepler 16b. 200 light years away from Earth, was recently observed by a small telescope, something that astronomy experts consider a very important milestone. Important. I think this might have been in another language, but the translation's gone a bit doolally. Like its fictional counterpart, Kepler 16b is orbiting between two stars in the nearly eponymous system, Kepler 16, located in the constellation Cygnus, this one. Originally, it was discovered in 2011 during the Kepler mission through the so-called transit method. When observing one of the stars in the system, the spacecraft saw it darken, a direct effect of a planet passing between the spacecraft's view and the monitored star. The exoplanet Kepler 16b is in many ways similar to the fictional Tatooine, a planet from the Star Wars multimedia franchise. Now, however, this Star Wars planet has been observed again, this time by a modest 75-inch ground-based telescope. That's small, modest, 75-inch. Located at Observatoire de Haute-Provence, about 60 kilometres from Marseille in France. Unlike the transit method, this re-observation of Kepler 16b took place through the radial velocity process, which analyses the gravitational effects generated by a planet on its star. Imagine a pull when you pull something hard, and you will understand. According to Amaury Trio, exoplanet researcher at the University of Birmingham, the fact that the planet was seen with a ground-based telescope is something of a higher efficiency and lower cost than a spacecraft or artifact launched into space. The idea now is to continue the search within this format, in the hope of finding unknown exoplanets of the circumbinary category, the name given by the research team to exoplanets orbiting two stars. That's because common scientific sense says that planets are formed in disks around a single star, a region known as the protoplanetary disk. But planet formation in binary systems, that is where two stars act together, is still a mystery to us. Using this standardised explanation, it can be difficult to understand how circumbinary planets exist, Trio said. That's because the presence of two stars interferes with the protoplanetary disk, which prevents cosmic dust from clumping together and eventually creating a planet. This process is known as accretion. A theory cited by Trio indicates that the planet in question formed at a further distance from this binary system, and its irregular orbit caused it to gradually move closer to it. This is just theoretical speculation, so the study should hopefully shed more light on this mystery, expanding our understanding. A full study was published in the scientific journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. Thank you, Raju Singh. So there we go. A new planet around another star was confirmed, not discovered, but confirmed by a ground-based, modest-sized telescope. So there you go. So in a double star system. It's not quite like Tatooine, is it? But because one's if that's what it should look like, one's a red dwarf and one's a big star, isn't it? Anyway, so that's it. That is the news for today. So we'll leave it there. I shall get rid of that. And I'll go see to Princess. I'll see what she's got herself up. I think she's been lurking. Princess is my cat, by the way. She's been lurking behind me and rustling. You may have heard it, I don't know. And then I'll go see to Aidan. Aidan's my son. He's upstairs. He's been coughing and spluttering. He's got a bit of a cough. I think he's picked up a bug from somewhere. He's not got COVID. He's just got a bit of a cough. So I'll go see to him. So anyway, so until tomorrow, fingers crossed, we'll get some more news, hopefully. And hopefully, the situation in the Ukraine doesn't go critical. But we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed again. Fingers crossed for the Ukraine. Fingers crossed for the show tomorrow.